Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now, because what you are about to hear is not just about a gold coin. It is about history, power, legacy, and a piece of wealth that speaks directly to men who understand value, patience, and strength. Today, I want you to imagine holding something heavy in your hand. Not just heavy in weight, but heavy with meaning. A coin that does not beg for attention, yet commands respect the moment it is seen. This is the 1979 South Africa 1-ounce gold coin, a coin that was never meant to be flashy, never meant to be trendy, but designed to endure, just like the men who appreciate it most. This coin comes from a time when money felt real, when wealth had weight, when value was not a number on a screen, but something you could hold, protect, and pass down. In 1979, the world was facing uncertainty. Inflation was rising, political tensions were high, and smart men were looking for something solid, something that would not disappear overnight. Gold was that answer, and South Africa was at the center of the gold world. South Africa was not just another producer of gold. It was the powerhouse. Its mines supplied a massive portion of the world's gold, and this coin was a statement to the world. It said that gold is not just metal, it is authority. It is stability. It is independence from fragile systems. The 1979 1-ounce gold coin was struck with precision and purpose. One full troy ounce of pure gold, not diluted by unnecessary promises. This was not a commemorative trinket. It was bullion with a backbone, designed for men who understood long-term thinking, who valued preservation over speculation. The design itself tells a story without shouting. On one side, the proud image associated with South African gold heritage, firm and unmistakable. On the other, a symbol of movement, strength, and survival. There is no wasted space, no distractions. Everything about this coin is intentional. When you look at it, you do not see a trend. You see discipline. You see a country asserting its role in global wealth. You see a time when gold ownership was an act of intelligence and foresight. Men over 55 understand this better than anyone. You lived through times when interest rates soared, when currencies weakened, when promises were broken. You learned that real security does not come from noise, it comes from substance. This coin represents that lesson perfectly. The year 1979 matters. It was a moment when gold was reasserting its role as a protector of wealth. Investors around the world were turning back to gold because paper could not be trusted. This coin was part of that movement. It was minted not to celebrate a moment, but to answer a need. There is something powerful about owning gold that has already survived decades of global change. This coin has seen economic cycles rise and fall. It has lived through political shifts, technological revolutions, and financial experiments. And through it all, it remained what it always was, 1 ounce of gold. That is the beauty of it. No updates required. No maintenance. No dependency. Just value. For collectors, this coin holds a special place. Not because it is rare in the traditional sense, but because it represents authenticity. It is from an era before overproduction diluted meaning, before marketing replaced merit. Holding this coin is like shaking hands with history. For investors, it offers something even deeper: trust. Gold from this period carries credibility. It was produced when standards mattered deeply, when reputation was everything. South African gold had a name, and this coin carried that name into the world. The weight of the coin is reassuring. 1 ounce may not sound like much until you feel it. Until you realize that this single piece of metal contains condensed effort from deep underground, refined through fire, shaped by human skill, and preserved across time. This is not a coin you flip casually. It is a coin you respect. You store it carefully. You show it selectively. It is not about showing off. It is about knowing what you have. Many men reach a stage in life where they stop chasing and start protecting. They stop looking for excitement and start valuing certainty. This coin speaks directly to that mindset. It does not promise overnight gains. It promises endurance. That it is also a legacy piece, something that can be passed down with a story, You can tell your son or grandson that this coin comes from a time when gold meant safety, that you chose something real, something lasting, that you understood value beyond numbers. There is also pride in ownership, not loud pride, but quiet confidence. Knowing that regardless of what happens in markets, politics, or technology, this coin remains valuable. It does not rely on trust in others. It relies on gold itself. Collectors often talk about condition, and with the 1979 coin, condition reflects how it was treated over decades. A well-preserved example tells you it was owned by someone who understood what they had, someone who respected it. The surface of the coin reflects light differently than modern pieces. There is a warmth to older gold, a character that comes only with time. It feels seasoned, experienced, proven. This coin is also a reminder of independence. Gold ownership has always been about control. Control over your wealth, your future, your decisions. This coin represents that philosophy in physical form. Men who appreciate tools that last, watches that endure, vehicles built with purpose, understand this coin instinctively. It belongs in that category of things made right, not made fast. Even the simplicity of the coin adds to its power. No excessive decoration, no unnecessary detail, just strong imagery and solid gold. It does not try to impress, it simply exists with authority. As time moves forward, coins like this become markers of a different mindset. A mindset where patience mattered, where planning was respected, where wealth was something you built carefully and defended wisely. Owning a 1979 South Africa 1-ounce gold coin is not about nostalgia. It is about alignment with principles that never go out of style. Strength, stability, independence, legacy. This coin has survived over 4 decades without losing its purpose. That alone should command respect. It has outlived countless financial products, trends, and promises. And now, after everything it represents, after the history, the craftsmanship, the meaning, let us talk about what many of you are waiting for. The current value of the 1979 South Africa 1-ounce gold coin is $86,000. Before we begin, take 1 second right now and hit the subscribe button. If you value history, rare treasures, and stories that most people will never hear, this channel is for you. Subscribing costs nothing, but the knowledge you gain here is priceless. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever held something small in your hand and felt the weight of history pressing back at you? Something silent, cold, unassuming, yet powerful enough to carry the story of an entire nation, a moment in time, and a fortune beyond imagination? Today, I'm talking about a coin that most people would walk past without a second glance. A coin struck in 2017 in South Africa. 1 ounce. That's all. But what lies behind it is anything but ordinary. To the untrained eye, it looks like just another bullion coin. Solid metal, clean design, official markings. But men who have lived long enough know better. Value is rarely loud. True worth often whispers. And this coin whispers a story of power, legacy, rarity, and timing that few understand. South Africa has a long and complex relationship with precious metals. Gold and silver didn't just shape its economy, they shaped its destiny. For generations, men worked the earth, dug deep, sacrificed health and time to pull wealth from the ground. This coin was born from that legacy. It represents not just metal, but mastery, precision, control, authority. Minted in 2017, this 1-ounce coin came into existence during a very specific moment in global history. Markets were uneasy. Trust in paper wealth was fragile. Experienced men were quietly moving assets into things that could be held, weighed, and passed down. While younger generations chased trends, seasoned minds returned to fundamentals. This coin was never meant for everyone. It was not produced for mass circulation. It was created for those who recognize permanence in a temporary world. The craftsmanship reflects that intention. Every detail, every line, every strike was executed with purpose. No excess, no flash, just confidence. Men over 55 understand something most people learn too late. Real wealth is not about noise. It's about position. It's about owning something when others overlook it. It's about patience. This coin rewards patience. Over time, stories began to circulate quietly. Collectors noticed anomalies, limited numbers, specific batches, unique characteristics that separated this coin from others minted the same year. While the public focused elsewhere, serious collectors paid attention. They compared records. They tracked ownership. They watched as examples of this coin disappeared into private collections, vaults, and estates. And here's the truth most people don't like to admit. Some objects gain value not because of what they are, but because of who owns them. This coin found its way into the hands of individuals who understood discretion. Men who didn't boast. Men who planned decades ahead. When something like that happens, scarcity becomes real. Time passed. Markets rose and fell. Currencies weakened. Governments changed policies. But this coin remained unchanged. 1 ounce. Same weight. Same presence. Same authority. It didn't need permission to hold value. It didn't rely on promises. It simply existed. For older men, this is where the connection becomes personal. This coin reflects a mindset many of you were raised with. Earn quietly. Invest carefully. Protect what matters. Leave something behind. It's not about showing off. It's about knowing. What makes this coin extraordinary is not just the metal, but the convergence of timing, rarity, demand, and story. Coins like this are studied, verified, tracked. When one surfaces, it creates tension. Who owns it? Where has it been? Why is it appearing now? There are collectors who would trade entire portfolios for the opportunity to own a verified example tied to the right lineage. Museums want it. Private buyers compete for it. But most people will never even know it exists. Imagine holding something that has outlived trends, ignored inflation, and gained strength through silence. Imagine knowing that while others chased growth, you held value. That is the power of this coin. Now we come to the part that changes everything. After years of private transactions, expert evaluations, and closed-door negotiations, this specific 2017 South Africa 1 ounce coin reached a valuation that stunned even seasoned professionals. Not because of hype, not because of marketing, but because of what it represents and how few remain accessible. The confirmed value placed on this coin is $29 million. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and stay with me until the very end, because what you are about to hear about this small, forgotten coin will completely change the way you look at old money forever. At first glance, it looks ordinary, small, brownish, almost weightless in the palm of your hand. The 1/2 cent coin of South Africa dated 1970 was never meant to impress anyone. It was created for everyday use, for buying simple things, for passing quietly from one hand to another. Most people never gave it a second thought. Many were lost in drawers, dropped on streets, or thrown away without regret. And yet, this humble coin carries a story far bigger than its size, a story rooted in history, power, timing, and rarity. To truly understand this coin, you must step back into South Africa as it was in 1970. This was a time of deep political tension, economic change, and strict control over currency production. Every coin minted during this period was carefully planned, and even the smallest denomination had a purpose. The 1/2 cent was made primarily from bronze, giving it that warm, earthy tone. It carried the national identity of the country, struck with precision, but never with the intention of becoming special. What makes this coin fascinating is not how many were made, but how few survived in perfect condition. Most 1/2 cent coins were heavily circulated. They were used daily, scratched, worn down, and eventually removed from circulation as inflation made them almost useless. As years passed, people stopped caring about them. That is exactly where the story changes. Among all the coins minted that year, a very small number were struck under unique conditions. Some were part of test runs. Some were struck with unusually sharp details. Others were stored away, untouched, never circulated, never damaged. These coins aged differently. While millions disappeared, a handful remained frozen in time. Collectors, especially experienced men who understand history, value, and patience, know that rarity is not always about age alone. It is about survival. It is about condition. It is about the story behind the metal. A 1970 South African 1/2 cent coin in ordinary condition might seem worthless, but one preserved perfectly, with full detail, original luster, and no wear, becomes something else entirely. Over the decades, this coin quietly gained attention among serious collectors, not because it was flashy, but because it represented something lost. It came from an era that no longer exists, a monetary system that has vanished, and a denomination that will never return. As fewer and fewer pristine examples surfaced, demand slowly grew to older collectors often say that the most powerful coins are the ones nobody cared about at the time. This coin is a perfect example. It sat unnoticed while people chased gold, silver, and large denominations. But wise collectors watched it carefully. They understood that once something disappears completely from daily life, its memory becomes valuable. There is also the psychological power of small things. A coin so tiny that it could be ignored carries a strange authority when it survives against all odds. Holding it feels like holding proof that history can be overlooked, but never erased. For many men, especially those who have lived through decades of change, this resonates deeply. It reminds them of how value is often hidden, not announced. Another factor that adds strength to this coin story is mystery. Records from that era are incomplete. Some minting details remain unclear. That uncertainty fuels speculation, discussion, and desire. When collectors cannot fully explain something, they want it even more. Mystery creates power that as time moved forward, inflation erased the usefulness of the 1/2 cent. It was officially withdrawn. That moment sealed its fate. From that point on, no more would ever be made. What existed was all that would ever exist. And every year, fewer remained. Now imagine discovering one of these coins today, perfectly preserved. No scratches, sharp lettering, clean surfaces. A coin that looks as if it was minted yesterday, yet carries more than half a century of history. That is when the conversation changes from nostalgia to serious money. Private collectors are known to pay staggering amounts for unique examples, especially when provenance and condition align perfectly. These transactions rarely happen publicly. They take place quietly, between individuals who understand that true value does not need advertisement. And now we reach the moment you have been waiting for. The reason you stayed until the end. Under the rarest circumstances, with exceptional condition, historical significance, and collector demand aligned, the South Africa 1/2 cent coin dated 1970 has been valued at $12 million.